Uh-oh. Hold on, I'm having a problem here too. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Why is this a problem? What don't I have on? Oh, there. Okay, yeah, you're there, John. I got
you. You can't handle the truth.
I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Oh, the government told me what the date was, so I can never lie. It's June 9th. It's a Tuesday, 2026, right? Well, because the government, they're here to help, and they've always been great to us, right? Not at all. We're just kidding. Anyway, guys, a lot of good stuff going on in the world out there. We just, looks like we are going to go ahead and continue doing things over there in the Strait of Hormuz. Israel is still doing things. Somebody shot down one of our things. Now we got a thing, and now it's going to be a thing, but then we got to stir the stick because it's a thing. Anyway, not real cool with the idea that we are just wanting to beat the crap out of each other all the time. Can we not do that? Is there something in a book where I don't know, where maybe I'm confused? Maybe there was a meeting, we all got together in humanity and said, you know what we should do is we just started to go around the world and pick fights with each other, and to the point where we all just die a lot. I don't know, it just gets really old for me. So I talk like that, but you know, guys, there's a lot of different versions of what the reality of the world is out there. I didn't know this, but did you know that Nitro Circus Pastrada, I said his last name wrong, Travis, with Nitro Circus is going to be doing a backflip on the White House lawn during the UFC fight on the 14th or whenever it's coming up? I didn't know that. It's kind of a cool little thing. I thought that was kind of fun. And you know what? As a country, we can have fun, can't we? Are we not? Are we always serious? No, we're serious around here. We do. We're serious. We can't do fun stuff, guys. Stop having fun. No. Arr. I don't know. I can't get it. The reflecting pool between the obelisk and the Lincoln Memorial is absolutely full, and it seems to be very breathtaking. I happened to catch an individual who was a small-time person who just happened to run by the reflecting pool as part of her daily run, and she kind of made it a little thing, and I watched her little feed. She only had a few likes on each of her videos, but I enjoyed watching her, and she got to go through and see how the different parts of the reflecting pool was repaired and how it can be maintained long-term and all this other stuff. But anyway, to everybody's great disappointment, the reflecting pool is operational, and it does reflect. I don't know. I guess that was a problem for a lot of people. We were losing like 1 billion gallons of water out of that every year. And I don't know if you know how much 1 billion gallons of water is, but it's a lot. It's a lot. Like a lot. You think your water bill is a little off at your house with the toilet gets to running once in a while? Can you imagine $1 billion pool being filled up throughout the entire year? And you're like, I got it. You know, write the old check, swipe the old card, you know, do the old thingy. This is where I don't understand. You're going to fix it? Stop that. Anyway, there is a lawsuit trying to stop the upcoming UFC fight in the White House lawn and also the celebration of 4th of July in Washington, D.C. There's multiple lawsuits trying to get us not to celebrate 4th of July. Guys, we've lost the narrative. We've lost the story here. We don't even know what the plot is, do we? All right, guys. Well, that's enough of me rambling on here. I do have a special guest with me today. John, there you are. Good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for being here. Let me get set next to you. Boom. There we are. We are now partners in crime. You're over there, and I'm over here. John,
hey,
good to see
Jim,
you.
how are you?
Thank you, sir, so much. I saw you smile a little bit about some of that commentary. I just wondered what caught your tickle there.
Yeah, I like your common sense approach to things, Jim. When things are right, we ought to celebrate them and do them. When things are wrong, we ought to call them out. I think we ought to do all that in civility and in love and in mutual respect. But boy, oh boy, if we can't have honest conversations in this country, That's an ominous sign for our future, man.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's here's the sad part of it. If we can't bother to come together with a little bit of a conversation about, well, I don't like peas, or I like green beans, or I don't like this. Actually, I like peas and I don't like green beans, but not to the point where I won't eat them. I just don't order them. Does that make
I,
sense? Anyway,
I
so
like my peas al dente. I like them crunchy. Do
do
you
you
like your
really?
peas? Yeah, do you
No,
like them mushy? You don't like.
I'm a mushy pea guy.
Oh, Jim. Okay.
I'm
We can
telling.
still be friends. Jim, we can
Well,
still be friends.
do you put butter on yours?
Sure. Sure.
Ah, well, you gotta, yeah, yeah. I love the peas, and I cook them in butter, and I just think that's a great thing. But anyway, John, can you give us how we can find you and introduce yourself? We've already done enough talking. We got to get that part done.
Sure. So my name is John Cerniglia. There's a G in my last name there. Everybody who hears my voice and sees my smiling face is going to mess up the last name. And I'm totally cool with it, Jim. It
Yeah.
just comes with the territory. There's a story behind that, G. We'll probably get to that in this hour. I'm really interested to share my family story with you because I think you're going to find that fascinating.
Yeah.
You could find us at sat7usa.org on the web. That's SAT number 7 USA.org. And I know we're going to talk about Sat7 during this hour together.
Absolutely, absolutely. And hey, John, thank you for being flexible with me. Let me give you a real quick, guys. This is the backside of podcasting, radio, the stuff I got, because my stuff goes out on radio later, so I've been working on that. But what happened was Zoom did an update, and then Zoom took their calendar and goes, and I'm like, where did all my stuff go? So what was happening was I would have you scheduled, but then all of a sudden I couldn't find you. I was scheduled on my phone, but I couldn't find you here.
Yep.
Anyway, it was this back and forth of things, and I'm like, why is this? What Zoom? What are you doing? Stop touching things. It works. Leave it alone. Anyway, so that's why we had a job. Thank you for being patient with me on that whole effect of getting you
All
on the
good,
show.
man. All good.
So I
I'm glad to
appreciate
be with you today. This is the perfect day to be together.
Absolutely. And so now I'm going to give you the floor. You give us an introduction here, and we'll chop it up.
Yeah, cool. Well, we've got time, which I like. I'm going to start with a couple things that I think you and your listeners, your viewers are going to find fascinating about my story.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about me. First of all, I am the grandson of 4 Sicilian immigrants. My 4 grandparents moved to this country in the early 1900s to New York City, where I was raised, from Palermo, Sicily.
Wow.
I think about them often, Jim. Like I stand on their shoulders. They came to this country with no money, with no language, nothing but passion and ambition for a better life. Because at the time in Sicily, there was just horrific poverty. So they were escaping horror. They were coming to the new world to seek a better life. And I sit here today with you in large part because of their courage and their pioneering spirit.
Well, think about that. That is the idea that just to be here, just for me to be here, 1,200 people had to have had sex or something, whatever, or 12,000 or 100,000 people. The idea that we think that we're such an individual and so alone on this planet, but yet we have to understand that we have a legacy that has brought us forth, and then we can take the goods and the positives out of those legacies and then amplify them into our own existence. But yet,
That's
so many
true.
times we were taught during a certain presidential era that we're all individuals, we're all special, and nobody's unique, and we don't need family, and we're all, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So the sad part of it is what you're talking about, and what I like what you're talking about is that you're saying something very unique, that you were standing on the shoulders of your legacy, of your ancestors, because they bothered to do things dangerously, to not do things old people do, which is safely, but to do dangerous things dangerously, to go to a whole new country. They don't know where that boat was going. They don't know if it was going to get there, right?
That's right. That's right. Think of the disease on the boat coming over.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got my grandparents
Yeah.
settled in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in New York, and then my father. My father fought in the Second World War, Jim, in a flame-throwing tank in Okinawa for 4 years. I kid you not. So think about this.
I would not want to be in a tank in Japan for a year, much less 4 of them, right?
A flame throwing tank, Jim. So, like
Yeah,
as a kid, I said to him, Dad, what do you do with a flame throwing tank? You know, this is an innocent teenager's question.
right.
And to his credit, he was calm about it. He said, well, John, the Japanese would burrow into the mountainsides in Okinawa. They had their barracks in there. They actually had their war rooms in there, and the brass, the military brass, would hang out in there. And so they'd shoot the flame into the entrance of the tunnels to these caves. The flames, the fire would be consuming oxygen. The Japanese
Mm,
would come running out of the tunnels,
right.
and they'd be eviscerated. And my father and many other American soldiers and heroes saw this so that you and I could have the freedoms that we enjoy today. So again, we are here today having some fun
Yeah,
on this weird thing called the internet because men like my father and hundreds of thousands of others fought the good fight for our freedom.
absolutely. I had when I was a younger guy, there was a lot of men who had, I met guys from Korea and Vietnam, and these are guys who are very fresh kind of guys. And one of the guys was a tunnel rat, and man, you get a couple too many beers in him, and some of those stories start leaking out, and you're like, what are you talking about? Like, so
Yeah,
we should really, like the Vietnam, Korea guys and the things that they had to face, and the Agent Orange, which is paraquat or Roundup, what we know now. They're dealing with all those cancers and diseases at the end of life. But these guys had to literally go into tunnels like you're referring to, but we're talking like belly crawl like
yeah,
tunnels, not like they're walking around like, hey, this is a tunnel, like we could drive a truck
right.
in here. This is like on your belly crawling through. And then here's the thing that Tommy used to tell me. He goes, we couldn't use our guns because they would hear you.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
if you
yeah,
came across somebody, you had to do it silently, and you know what that means, right? So this is the problem. What we put a lot of men into places that we don't want to go, and
right,
we should be proud of them. We should be proud of them that they were willing to do that for us, and then we should honor them for that. But too
right.
many times in society, we forget those warriors who go out there, and then we just call them homeless. And oops,
Yeah, yeah, it's
yeah,
awful.
it
It's
is
awful.
absolutely. Yeah,
So
go ahead.
that's a part of my story. My dad
Yeah,
was an electrician in New York. I'm a kid of a blue collar worker. I've
right.
got a lot of pride for that.
Absolutely.
Um, and God just broke my heart years ago for this broken world.
Mm-hmm.
Really shook me as a young adult. And so for the last 35 years, I've been in missions and nonprofit work. And here I am at Sat 7 now.
Wow, that's great. Now, what are you doing there at Set Seven? What's your mission there? What's your call?
Yeah. So, to put it simply, we just want to share the gospel good news of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And we're focused on the most difficult part in the world. And ironically, the place where our faith was founded, which of course is the Middle East and North Africa. And we'll talk about Turkey today, which is sort of the bedrock of our contemporary Christian faith. It's where Christians were first called Christians,
Right.
interestingly. But we reach about 15 million people a year doing what you and I are doing. We're on satellite television and social media and digital channels across the Middle East and North Africa. We reach 15 million people a year, telling them about Jesus and the good news and the promises that he offers. And that is revolutionary news to people in that region, as I'm sure you know.
Absolutely. Well, and here's the crazy part about it. If you think about all the reach that we have with this little multi-thousand
Yeah.
dollar machine we have in our hands, but yet there are still people very innocently not knowing. And I'm
Right.
not saying that they're ignoring it, but there's a lot of people like they have not heard. And that is
Amen.
still amazing in an era where when I was a child, thinking of the mission field and other things like that, my always thought was I wanted to be like a bush pilot guy. That's what I was thinking of. But the idea back then, you thought, oh, I have to be a bush pilot to get to them. I have to do these dangerous things to get there, right? But now, so much of it, it seems like we should be so much better at ministry than we've ever been in our past, right?
Well, we have the power of technology today, which, when you were a kid, we didn't have. And so your dream of flying a plane into the bush was contemporary of that time for
Right.
sure. But so listen to this, Jim. In the Middle East and North Africa, 95% of people get their content from satellite. Satellite television is still the
Mm,
predominant mechanism or channel for people to get information.
right.
A couple of things about satellite television we don't think about in the US. It's free in the Middle East. It's not a subscription-based service. Satellite television, you can be illiterate, and there's very high illiteracy in the Middle East. You can't be illiterate and operate a cell phone. You have to be able to read.
True.
But with satellite television, you can be illiterate. And listen to this: satellite television cannot be blocked, it cannot be censored. So I kid you not, we are in Iran.
Right.
We have a channel dedicated in the Farsi language.
Yeah.
We've got hundreds of thousands of Iranian viewers who are on our channel every day. We hear from 50 of them, Jim, every day.
Wow.
They call us on Signal or WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, and they have questions about Jesus,
Wow.
this God they've never heard of before. And the government cannot, they can block the internet, of course, but they can't block satellite signals.
So, do you believe that what we're seeing with Elon Musk and the Starlink of things, do you believe that that is where the government really loses that censorship ability?
Well, satellite, again, we're operating four satellite channels in that region,
Yeah.
and they can't be blocked by any government. So we have our Arabic channel that reaches Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. We have a Turkish channel that reaches Turkey. We're in Lebanon and Jordan and Afghanistan and Iraq. The governments cannot block or censor the signals. So
Mm.
yeah, Elon Musk is right.
Yeah. Well, and that's where here's what's kind of funny about I look at how we're stair stepping towards whatever data, this and that, those data centers. But he's already said, guys, listen, all we got to do is put these things into the satellites in space, and we don't have to worry about all this water and electricity and all this other
Right.
stuff. So really, I find that fascinating. I don't know why I'm so fascinated. The idea that like the satellite can't be blocked by these, and it's like literally the best gateway. So I'm just wondering what that next avenue for us to be able to really explore or push that through. Now you say Sat 7, or do they have to subscribe to Dish to get this, or is this just something that comes in off of? How does that work for them?
Yeah, so they don't have to subscribe. They buy a satellite dish and a channel box, like
Right.
an old school cable box that we would have had as kids.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a one-time purchase. It's less than $100 US for them to buy those two items. And then all of the channels are free because except for our channels, of course, there's advertising or fundraising on them.
Mhm.
Now, we have no advertising and no fundraising on our four channels. So they're completely free to the viewer without any sales or marketing on them. And so the way we fund it financially is Americans are helping finance it. And so we raise about $14 million a year in the US. It's about a $21 million ministry to reach 15 million viewers in the Middle East and North Africa.
Wow. Now, if I wanted to participate or get Sat 7 or help Sat 7, is there a way for me as an American to do that?
Yeah, a couple things you can do. So you can go to our website, sat7usa.org. That's SAT number 7 USA.org. When you go there, you'll see you could sign up for a prayer list just to receive prayer notifications of things that our viewers are facing. We got hundreds of videos on there, Jim,
Yeah.
short form videos. You can go to our YouTube channels. We have a couple of YouTube channels and literally thousands of videos, some of them with hundreds of thousands of views from around the world.
Right.
Plus, we have an app, Sat 7 Plus.
Yeah.
You could download that and you can watch our content on that.
Really? So
Yep.
Sat 7 Plus is actually now, and you guys actually took over the entire. So on my website, it's all a teal blue. Like my header's teal blue on my Apple here. So you guys have got pretty good coloring going on your on your page here. I was like, why is everything blue on my computer here? Like, what's going on? Anyway, so good job, whoever your tech guy. They're killing it on the header and all that stuff. Good job.
Good.
So okay,
Good.
so you're saying Sat 7 Plus is
It's
a
an app. You can download a free app, Sat 7 Plus, and you can actually watch the programs live. The four, well, actually three of the four channels you can watch live. Now, the thing is, and I'm glad we're talking about this, unless you speak Farsi or Arabic, you're not going to know what they're saying.
Okay.
Because and then there's a workaround for that, which I'll tell you about.
Right.
But this is really important, Jim. We Americans, like me, are not the presenters of the content. The presenters are people who live in the region and are of the same culture and were born there and speak the language.
Absolutely.
I mean, think about it. If
I can't. If I was doing it, I would look like a fraud, right?
well, I mean, you're an American.
I'm trying to speak Farsi. It's going to not kind of come across the same way, right?
Exactly. Birds of a feather stick together, right? So, yeah, it's really important that the people of the same culture and language present the gospel to their own people. Right. Now, if you get the app and you load a little bot on your phone, you can get a free translation service loaded to your phone, and then you'll see subtitles. So that's what I do in order to understand our own content.
Yeah,
that's what.
Well, and see, here's the thing. I don't think we always appreciate what other languages are like.
Yeah.
And when you do get the transcripts or you do see the auto caption coming in, you're going to learn why it is that you seems like they speak differently than us, because the English word order, the words that they specifically use in certain patterns, you're going to start to learn why their language is the way it is and why they are the way they are and why they seem the way they seem. And I think that that's so important that we do at least try to engage with other languages, because it makes us better. It's something new.
Totally agree. And you have to remember, some of these cultures, the Turkish culture, the Persian culture, Iranians, these cultures, Jim, they're over 5,000 years old.
Right.
We're the new guys on the block, on the world stage.
Yes.
And I'm a proud American. Let me be really clear about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's also important to understand the broader global context that we operate in.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the part where we, as Americans, we kind of forget, because we are a bit of an island over here sometimes. We kind of forget that there's other people. And that's important to understand, that humility of us. And this is where I've had a lot, and there's a discussion about, Earth and other things like that. And I always have to say, listen, I don't understand everything and don't know everything. And I do know, the more that I learn about how the human body works, how the mind works, how society really is, all the laws and rules and all the things we've done to ourselves, the more I know how I don't know anything. And for people to talk about how I'm this and I'm that and I know these things, so many times we need to slow down, even as Americans, say, listen, maybe there's something I don't know out there. Maybe there's more to culture than I don't understand. And hey, you could try it, not like it, and not do it again. But you got to try it once in a while. And that's one thing I've been doing in the last 8 years of my life, is trying things.
Good.
No. Don't you jumping on good on that. No, don't be like, good. I'm like, no. Like, no.
I didn't say it was easy. I didn't say it was easy.
No.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying it's good. Good for you.
I know. Yeah. I have tried things. In fact, get this. I haven't ate salmon since I was a kid, just because we had salmon patties with the cornmeal and the bones and the out of the. Yeah. You know what I mean. And I finally tried salmon. Like, oh, this ain't so bad. But I was a long time not eating salmon, because, like, I don't know, salmon patties suck. Anyway, but that tells us that we should be more open, right? We don't need to be progressive. The word progressive is misused completely, but we do need to be open and see those things as opportunities, not that we change our ways or we have to change because it's just something to do.
We are people. We are pioneering people in this country, Jim. And pioneers by definition, by nature, try new things. We're explorers by history and culture in this country. It's one of the reasons why we are the world's innovators.
Yes,
and I love that about this country.
Well, we do dangerous things. And I know I keep using this word dangerous, and it came to me about 2 or 3 weeks ago that the reason that we get old is because we quit doing dangerous things.
Yeah.
And the reason that as a young country we're doing dangerous things is because we're a young country. But if we don't,
nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose when you're brand new.
Hey, try a space program. Let's try that out. Let's see how we get that done. But that's where, again, doing dangerous things makes us young and does keep us looking around for new opportunities and maybe finding a little bit better way to slice bread, right? I didn't realize sliced bread was a new thing. Did you know that?
No, tell me about the history of sliced bread,
No,
Jim.
we ain't doing that today. We got that. High sliced bread is not as old as we think it is. But anyway,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, there's we have to do dangerous things, right? That's what entrepreneurs are doing. They're
I
always
agree.
doing something a little bit dangerous. Like, I don't quite have the money, but we're gonna go ahead and start. We're gonna go ahead and, that little bit of faith, that chug, 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 and just like was it grandfather that came over and grandmother
All
said,
four grandparents. Yeah, all
yeah,
four.
all four did. Wow.
All four came from Palermo, Sicily in the early 1900s.
That
Yeah.
is amazing. Good job on that. That's great. That's good to see. So John, what else do you got for us out there? You got the app, plus we got a language translator. You've got the satellite. Now
Four satellite channels. Yep.
4 satellite channels. Now what can we do to help?
Well, check out the website. That's always the first place. Check out our website. Sign up for the prayer list. Even if you're not, an aggressive or regular prayer person, you're going to learn about the context in the region because you're going to hear firsthand stories from our viewers and what they're experiencing. Let me tell you a quick story that we heard from a caller, Jim. A couple calls. We get about 50 calls a day or messages from Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Couple stories, which make it to our prayer list for Americans to pray about.
Absolutely.
So, two very different stories. The first is a story where a man, probably our age, you and I, by the way, we're about the same age. I watched your episode last week. You talked about your father.
Yeah, I just found him.
I know, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I watched the episode last week. I want to talk to you about that because there's some relevance to Sat 7.
Oh wow.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So this guy calls in. When I say call in, let me explain this a little bit.
Yeah.
So we have 3 languages that we communicate in across our channels. Arabic, for those who might not know, in the Middle East, you get about 600 million people in 25 countries. In 23 of those countries, they speak Arabic. So Lebanon, Jordan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, all the northern African countries. So Arabic is the predominant language in the region. Okay. You also have Turkey, they speak Turkish, and you have Farsi, which is the language spoken in Iran and Afghanistan, Farsi and Dari. Okay. So we have 3 what we call call centers. They're sort of inbound call centers. So if you're watching one of our channels and you have a question, or you want to say something, you've got a place to go. So they're call centers. They're virtual. Our people work out of their homes to do this.
Yeah.
This guy, our age, calls into the Farsi language call center, the Iranian call center. He's screaming, and some young woman in her 20s who works for us takes the call. Now, first of all, if you understand the culture and the context, you got a guy in his 50s, late 50s, talking to some young woman. Immediately you've got a massive culture clash going on here, right?
Right.
He probably wants to speak to the man of the company, his age, right?
Yes.
Or older than him. So this young woman is trained in de-escalation, and he's screaming, and he says to her, "You've ruined my marriage." I mean, as blunt as that. Now we're a television.
Sir, we just started talking. I don't know how I did that.
You ruined my marriage, and he's screaming, right? He's screaming. She de-escalates, and now keep in mind, we're a television ministry. We're not physically with people. It's pretty hard to ruin anything.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so she says, "Sir, what could we have possibly done to have ruined your marriage?" He says, "You told my wife I should stop beating her." So the story here, Jim, right?
Sounds like a good idea. I don't know. You start with Tuesday. You do you, boo.
Right. So I mean, it's a fascinating story.
Yeah,
it just gets to who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
So this larger story is his wife was watching our Farsi language, our Iranian channel, and she's hearing about the sanctity of marriage, about how marriage is a holy communion. She's hearing about how she was created in God's image and is a whole, her body is a holy temple. So she goes to the police department and reports him. And he has to go to the police department. Think of how demeaning this is.
Wow.
And so then he calls us screaming, saying, "You've destroyed our marriage." Well, the story continues. So this young 20-something who works for us says to this guy, "Sir, you too were created in God's image. You're here for a higher purpose. And the meta narrative of our Christian faith is love. God so loved the world that he gave his son, Jesus, who died on a cross, died for you. So like now we're discipling this guy, Jim. He's going from a wife beater to somebody interested in learning about Jesus. And the reason I'm tying this to you and your dad is because I think the Christian faith is the meta narrative of our faith is love. Jesus says, love fulfills the entire law. And so I loved your episode last week, Jim, because that's what you talked about. You had your mug, I think I see it behind you there, that your father sent you, right?
Yeah, yeah. He just sent it inadvertently last week. Just sent it to me.
And it talks about a father's love.
Yeah, it's yeah, absolutely. I want you to believe that you're capable of achieving anything you put your mind to. You will never lose. You will either win or learn. I cannot promise to be here for the rest of your life, but I can promise to love you for the rest of mine.
Oh, it's beautiful, man.
Absolutely, it's great.
That is beautiful, and that's revolutionary thinking still in much of the world, in the U.S., unfortunately, but even more especially in other cultures where there's just a void of love, right? So I love the story about this irate viewer from Iran because it just gives you an illustration of the work we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm kind of flattered that you bothered you checked out one of my shows, and it happened to be that one, so I'm very honored by that. So thank you for that. Now, what can we do? We're doing these things. Is there volunteer stuff? Is there, like Brenda? She's a moderator for me on one of my on my show here. I have other moderators as well, but she's actually her grandparents all. What did you say? What did you say? Brenda said that her parents spoke Arabic. Let me see where that's at. So she has a little bit of a tie there, and I have a bunch of Persian friends. I call them Persians, but yeah. Oh, her grandparents all spoke Arabic. So anyway, so there is a group here in Wichita, Kansas, of those folks that live here. But also I have friends across the country. Big thing. So what can I do? Can I volunteer, or is it just a money issue, or are there things that we can do for you guys?
Three things. We're not a volunteer-heavy organization because of the nature of our work and where in the world we work, but three things Americans can do. You can pray, as we talked about, by signing up for our prayer letter. You can advocate, so what you're talking about is advocacy, right? Share. We've got lots of social media accounts across the internet. YouTube is really rich. Our YouTube channels are really rich with content. Of course, we're on Facebook and Instagram. So go like our stuff and share it in your networks to get the word out, especially with your friends who are Arabic or Persian. Let them see the work that we're doing in the region. Encourage people to download the Sat7 Plus app and to watch the content and to share that as well with other people. So number two is advocacy. And the third thing, of course, to do is to give. It's really remarkable to see how even a modest gift of $25 or $50 can buy an hour or so of programming in the Middle East.
Well, and that's sometimes we think it's like, well, I don't have $10,000 to send, but it's not. $10,000 isn't necessary, right? It's actually it goes a lot farther there than it does really here, right?
That's right. That's right. The cost structures in the Middle East are lower than they are in the U.S. So literally a $50 gift will buy a couple of hours of broadcasting time in the region to bring good news to people. And of course, everything we say and communicate is on the foundation of our Christian faith. But the story I shared with you, it's not straight up gospel preaching, right? It's culture shaping. It's saving a marriage, or at least saving a woman from a husband.
It's almost an aha conversation, right? Like, what? Oh, wait, I'm what? And so it's like just having that conversation, right? The aha He's
That's
like, what do
right.
you mean I'm special?
That's right.
All of a sudden now people they do have that value that is through their creator. John, let me ask you a quick question. We didn't really talk about this, but how did you get started in all this? What was the pull through for you?
Yeah, well, another beautiful story. So I was chasing a girl in college. You
Uh-oh.
know, Jim, all good stories start.
Yeah,
All good stories
yeah,
start
yeah,
there.
yeah.
It ends well. We're married 34 years
Oh
now.
man, so
So
you stuck it out. Good job. Yeah.
she stuck it out,
Oh,
Jim. You
oh, okay.
know? So no joke.
Yes.
Chasing a girl in college in upstate New York.
Hmm.
Her boyfriend at the time was involved with Habitat for Humanity. She suggests I get involved with Habitat for Humanity. I would have gone to the moon, right? If that
Right.
was what
Yeah.
she had suggested. You know the
Oh
deal.
yeah.
So, no joke. I go to Mississippi in 1990. I don't know if you remember this. Uh, the story in the media of the time of what was referred to as the sugar ditch.
Uh-uh.
There were kids in northern Mississippi playing in open sewage trenches. And I think it was Jesse Jackson who went down there and exposed it on national media
Right.
and referred to it as the sugar ditch. So I
Wow.
go there in 1990
Yeah.
to a little village about an hour south of Memphis, where the mayor has to shut off the little local water system for 100 families because it would get contaminated from the open sewage. And no joke, the U.S. military would bring in water tankers so that we'd have drinkable water, potable water. This is the U.S.
Yeah, I was gonna say this isn't America. This
This
is like,
this is the U.S. in
yeah.
1990. I have a vivid image in my mind. I'm outdoors brushing my teeth with one of those water buffaloes that the
Oh
military
yeah. 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 Yeah.
runs with. Okay, so 1990, I go there to build houses for a week with families who are just crushed by poverty and alcoholism and drugs.
Hmm.
I'm a kid from suburban New York. This was like you might as well have sent me halfway around the world. I was
Oh
totally shocked.
yeah.
Okay, so I get on the plane out of Memphis to fly back to LaGuardia.
Right.
I sit down in the plane and I feel relief to be out of the filth.
Right.
I then, because I grew up Roman Catholic, I then feel guilty for feeling the relief. And then I start crying, like literally just sobbing.
Right.
I'm
Right.
sitting there, and everybody must have thought I was whacked or something.
Yeah.
And I'm in that moment. I said, God, I don't know what's going on here, but you have my attention.
Right.
I get to LaGuardia. My soon-to-be girlfriend picks me up and says, "What did you think?" And without thinking, I said, "I think I'm going back. Like, I don't know how or when or where. I think I'm going back." And I did. I went back, and that started a whole career, actually, for
Wow.
21 years with Habitat for Humanity.
Well, that is great.
Uh, the
I,
girl, the girl followed me, and we eventually got married.
that is great, man. That's a good story. I like that. You did a good job.
So, so that was the beginning of my nonprofit career. I learned a lot about nonprofit governance,
Hmm.
building a board.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about brand development. Habitat for Humanity went from nothing to this meteoric brand in our country and around the
Right.
world. I learned a lot about philanthropy and generosity. People are very generous in this country.
Yes.
And I traveled the world. I think with Habitat for Humanity, I probably traveled to 20 or 25 countries
Wow.
and really got to see the world and have an appreciation for diverse cultures and interesting and different people. And
Absolutely.
then I've worked at a couple different places. And then about a year ago, I got recruited to join Set Seven and to run the U.S. office.
Well, that is great. Good job, man. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, and good job for her that she saw the joy and the drive and who you are, and so she stuck it out, and she got to be a part of all the things you've done. So good job, buddy.
Uh,
Good job.
she's incredible. She's a remarkable partner, and I'm really
Yeah.
grateful for
There
her.
you go. Well, and that's what you want. So as things are going forward, is there a project or something coming up for you guys that you're going to see here in the near future, or
Yeah, yeah.
are you expanding on different language? I don't know. I mean, I was like different. I don't even know what to think of how I would do an expansion on satellite. But is it languages? What is it for you guys?
So three things come to mind, Jim, in terms of sort of strategic priorities, things that we need to put in place for growth
Hmm.
in the region. So again, 600 million people in the Middle East and North Africa. Jim, 3.5% of them are Christians. Now, what's nuts about that is this is the birthplace of our faith.
Yeah.
Turkey. Here's an example. Turkey, a country of 85 million people. There are 200,000 Christians in that country, in Turkey. Let me tell you just a little bit about Turkey, and then I'll talk about the three strategic priorities.
Yeah.
If you ever read the book of Revelation, the last book in the Bible, there's a reference to the seven churches of Revelation. Those seven churches are in Turkey. If you've ever heard of the Nicene Creed, which is something that a lot of churches around the world will recite or read on Sunday mornings, it's like a statement of faith.
Right.
It was written 1700 years ago in Nicaea in Turkey.
Wow.
If you've ever read the book of Ephesians in the Bible, where Paul writes to the Ephesians in Ephesus,
Yeah.
guess what? That's in Turkey, in a modern day city called Selkirk. So we have this historic nation in our faith, in our Christian faith called Turkey.
Yeah.
85 million people, only 200,000 are believers. And the tragedy is they think Christianity was founded in the West, in the UK
Right.
or in the US, because they've lost touch with their history. So how do we connect with more people in Turkey? Well, we have a Turkish satellite channel. It's run out of Istanbul. We have a studio in Istanbul, but what can we do to grow our reach in a country like Turkey? Okay, so a couple simple things.
Right.
The most significant growth opportunity for us is in the digital space for sure. And we're moving to digital what's called virtual production. So what this means is, um, and we see it all the time. Disney has been using it, of course, for a few years. I can have live presenters on three different continents in front of a camera, and with digital animation, I can illustrate a background. For example, I could have people, three different people, somebody in our London studio, we have a studio in London, somebody in Cyprus in our studio there, and somebody in our Istanbul, Turkey studio. And it can look like they're all in Tehran,
Mm.
in Tehran, the major city in Iran.
Right.
And they're in three different countries, and they can be interacting with each other. More so, I can create with digital animation, I can recreate the scene of Jesus washing the feet of people
Mm.
digitally and virtually to tell that story or any story I want. So virtual production is a direction that we're going to go. Now in Turkey, back to the Turkey connection, we would tell stories of the founding of our faith. It was in Turkey where Christians were first called Christians. It's
Yes.
where the term, the label, was first used, right? So we can do a lot more to go back to Nicaea, to go back to Ephesus, to recreate a story of Paul, the Apostle Paul, speaking and writing to the Ephesians in live production, or like using real human beings, any or several places of the world simultaneously telling a story. And then if a Turkish viewer calls in and asks a question, um, about something specific, maybe about a Bible or whatever, with animation, we can drop that imagery right into the scene live.
Right.
So this is where the world is going in terms of animation and video production. The days of getting a preacher on television doing a monologue for 20 minutes, those days are over. And that doesn't reach a young demographic.
Right.
So that's an example. We're using AI in Turkey, Jim, on
Yeah.
on our Turkish channel. Let me tell you about this.
Yes.
So we have a program in Turkey, and it's sort of fashioned after late night television. So
Right.
it's fast paced. There's a lot of banter and debate. We call it Believe If You Can. And viewers can call into this live program, and the hosts, like the presenters, can ask them a couple questions,
Hmm.
and we'll use an AI tool that we have in the program, And so based on the questions we ask, the AI model will say, hey, Jim, you're an encourager. You've got the gift of encouragement. You're like Barnabas in the Bible. And
Right.
then we'll start talking about the sort of the attributes of Barnabas just to help people relate.
Right.
And we'll say to them, look, go to Acts, the book of Acts, chapter 4, read more about Barnabas because he was a giver and he was an encourager. So that's a cool way to use technology to connect viewers in a contemporary way with stories in the Bible,
Absolutely.
characters in the Bible.
No, that is absolutely great. And that's where I see a lot of this interactiveness. I think people want to see that the people I think there's something more to the authenticity of what you're doing than compared to what we've had other words. Like a lot of the fakeness of the legacy media of things, right? We're seeing that wag the dog, like the movie, right? We're seeing
Yeah, yeah.
so I appreciate what you're doing and all that. Now we've got a few minutes left. We got to get you out of here. What are some of the things that like you want to like give me your like 3-4 minutes of what you want people to understand and really where they need to go? Just give us a real mission statement for us there.
Yeah, so we want to make God's love visible in the Middle East and North Africa to a region that is probably among the darkest places in this world, which is heartbreaking. We want to bring the gospel good news to people in culturally relevant ways, not an Americanized version of our faith, but the faith story of the origin story of our faith, which comes from their region. We want people to see that there is hope for today and tomorrow, even in the middle of war. And there's hope for eternity. And it doesn't have to be earned. You know, you talked about this with your dad, Jim, that you shouldn't have to earn the love of a father, the love of a dad. That same truth. I mean, I got chills when I watched your episode last week because that same truth is real in our Christian faith, that you don't earn that your heavenly Father's love. It's free because of his grace. And unfortunately, this good news hasn't made it to the Middle East or North Africa. And there's a lot of bad news. There's a lot of dark news that get people into places of fear and anxiety. And then they do stupid things when they're fearful, fearing for their lives. So our ambition is to bring the good news. And we are really focused on Iran and Lebanon right now because of what everybody is seeing in the news. So pray with us about that. Sign up for our prayer list. Give generously because our incremental costs to reach Iran right now are exorbitant. We've got people who live in Lebanon. You're seeing what's happening in Lebanon, Jim, where people are having to move from the Lebanon-Israeli border. We have employees who are caught up in all of that, and they're still trying to operate our studio in Beirut. So give generously so that we can continue to do this work in the region. And then the third thing we've talked about is go share this good news on social media. Share this with friends and family. Encourage them to learn more about what SAT7 is doing. And to learn about all of this, you can go to sat7usa.org. That's SAT number 7 USA.org.
Well, that is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for getting out there and doing what you're doing. I love this. And again, it's a void, right? It's a vacuum.
Yes.
You know, they're saying, well, Christianity started over there. Well, no, Christianity started here, went over there. Now there's a vacuum over here. Now we got to backfill here. So I appreciate what you're doing out there. Anything else we're going to get you out of here before we get you out of here?
Just want to say thanks, man. I really love your show and appreciate what you're doing. So thanks for having me on today. I hope you'll have me back.
Anytime. You get your folks getting on, and we'll give us some updates. Let us know when things are popping off, new things are there. And here's the other thing. Maybe we need to know more about the reality of what's going on in the Middle East and not so much what the legacy media wants to tell us or those governments want to tell us. Let's try to, if you can give us some of those little things so we know more accurately how to place our energy into what you're doing so we know we're the right people, we know the right message. We're not saying, hey, he needs purple balls and basketballs and footballs. And we're like, oh, we're praying for that. And he's like, why am I getting all these basketballs? Why is God giving me, we're praying in the wrong direction, right?
Yeah.
So let's all put a shoulder behind the wheel and figure out what we can do to help you and give us that information. So yeah, anytime you want to jump back on, let's make it a real thing. Okay.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely,
Have a good
buddy.
day.
We'll talk soon, sir.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. And very good. Thank you so much for him coming on. And that was a great interview, don't you think, guys? I appreciate his heart and what he's doing and the enthusiasm. And too many times we don't realize so many people are doing these types of work and nobody even knows it's happening. Until he explained to me exactly what he was doing and how he was doing it, what he was doing it, and from the locations on Earth that he's doing it to get it there. This is a big lift, and so that's really great that he's willing to do that for those people. Not that it's like I got to do it for these people, but at least someone is out there saying, I want to do this for these people. I want them to be a part of our family. And if anything we learn about the society that we live in right now, guys, it is so easy to get lost in the idea that we don't need each other, we don't need family, we don't need to stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, similar to how he talked about how both sets of grandparents came over, the whole thing. I would say, again, guys, if you don't have a relationship with your ancestors, your grandma, your grandpa, your parents, what are you going to do? Say, I stand on the shoulder of people I don't know, I don't have a relationship with? No, this is the part, guys, where you have to do the E for effort. You got to get out there and make these relationships happen. Now, I know society in America here has made certain relationships and certain topics very difficult for a lot of people. But the sad part of it is if you don't ever start, you'll never know. So get out there and have that communication style. Start it with something. Get out there. Be brave. Do dangerous things in conversations. And maybe, just maybe, you're going to have a better brand and a better style of communication that now we know we communicate here and we do these things and now we come together and we're so much better for it. Too many times, I think, guys, the weakness of us, who we are, and we don't believe that people want to hear what we have to say. Now, granted, I'm not saying everything that comes to your head is a gospel and you need to go out there running around telling everybody, but you have discernment, right? And that's what fathers do for you. They create that discernment inside of us to say, hesitate and say, well, should I put my booger hook in my nose or should I put my booger hook in my friend's nose? Question you haven't asked yourself, right? All right, guys. Well, that's about it for me. It's been great seeing you. Good stuff out there. A lot of great things in the world happening. I wish we would all pay attention to the good stuff and quit trying to repeat the bad stuff. Because if you're repeating bad stuff, you're just doing what they're doing. Let's do the positive thing, and then let's not do what we go away from them. We go do this thing, and then like, hey, we're having a good time doing positive stuff. What are you doing over there? Living in a sugar ditch or whatever. Woo! By the way, I just thought about that. I was in the military at that time, so I was probably not tuned into the news as much as possible. And back then, we were only getting the nightly news from Peter Jennings. But anyway, I wasn't big into the news back then. I had a military stuff I was doing. Anyway, that's about it for me, guys. Remember, the 10% we do for our neighbor, community, city, county, state, the federal government, the more you do for them, the less they have to do for you. Learn how to be selfless and not so damn selfish. The world will be a far, far better place. 8 billion people get up tomorrow. 10% nicer. Bing! Remember, hold the line, hold fast. Do not give up. Do not give in. We'll win. I promise I can't keep, guys. You've always been the answer out there. Remember that Constitution? Well, that limits the government, but never limits you. Know your authority, because, see, you have the authority already in the documentation. If you give your authority away to somebody else and then they take over your life, well, that's on you. All right, guys, that's going to be about it for me. I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. You guys all be... We'll try it one more time. Here we go. I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. You guys all be good to each other out there, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.